Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today we're looking at the Steeler and Short-Fuse 2-pack from G.I. Joe Classified Series. Interested to get these in hand and compare them to the original figures. Got this standard 2-figure box packaging, but you'll notice in the back here, the mass device cart that was released in 1/18th scale with the 25th anniversary stuff. I think it came with one of the mass device box sets, but with the elements on it here. So that's interesting because we know we've gotten the elements now, because I think the diver pack is showing up at Target, but we don't have anything like this cart. So I wonder if we'll see that in the line at some point. Steeler and Short-Fuse, two closer to getting us to the original 13 and classified. Flash and Grand Slam. Well, Zap is on his way as a retro cardback figure. And then I think Flash and Grand Slam are it, right? Pretty exciting. Although, I hate to be nitpicky, and I am typically one who will, rather than say they got it wrong, will say they made a different decision. But as we've talked about on Audible Interlude, and as you can see with the coloring here, they kind of messed up, or not messed up, they made a different decision with Short-Fuse and Steeler's colors. Because very clearly, Steeler is Short-Fuse colored, and Short-Fuse is more Steeler colored. And I can't say realistically that it matters, but also it's a little bit of a just confounding decision. Like, why not just keep it the way that it was? Now, so Short-Fuse, possibly in Sunbow, might have been colored this way, because we know a lot, well, in Steeler for that matter, now that I'm thinking about it, this may more accurately reflect Sunbow colors. And we know that influences the classified team quite a bit. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. But it's also leaving the possibility there for, us as nitpicky G.I. Joe fans to say, well, there could always be a retro cardback release. But there's something, when I was younger, I started collecting Joe, playing with Joe, whatever, in '82. And my first figures were, well, Short-Fuse was one of my first figures. I cannot remember, honestly, who I got initially. Short-Fuse Zap Stalker seems kind of right to me, but I'm not positive about that. But I do know Short-Fuse was one of my first ones, because I specifically remember my dad correcting me when I said his name was Short-Fuzz. And he said, that's Fuse, although it is not spelled correctly. So I do know for a fact he was one of my OGs. But it's funny, I never, as the line kept going and the looks of the Joes got more varied and more interesting, the original, mostly green Joes were not favorites of mine. Once the line got more color, that's more what I was into. But now there's something really cool about getting Joe's in green, which is part of the reason why I ordered the green shirt. Is as varied and colorful and great as the classified shelf is, you need some green army guys to go on it, I guess is what I'm saying. So getting some that are just more basic green is cool. I dig it. It's exciting in a different way from the more interesting, well, not interesting is not the right word, the more colorful Joes. So I'm not positive whose stuff goes where. I know that's Steelers because of the original blaster that came with the original figure. The blast effects, just value add. I'm not that interested in them, but neato that they're in there to try and justify the price tag of the figure. I don't love that. That's kind of meh. So let's see. Well, these are, who knows what goes where. We'll just stick these off to the side and take a closer look at the figures. Short-Fuze. Great portrait. Doesn't quite get into Disney animation territory the way the retro card back cover girl did. But they're definitely, some classified figures are a little more cartoony than other classified figures. And again, I'm not saying good or bad, but it's just noticeable across the line. But the good thing is, however you feel about that, boy, that's not going to drop down any, is it? However you feel about that, and this is what I've realized, is once you put them on the shelf together, there is enough variation across the line to where they don't stand out quite as much. So, like, if you put this one right next to, I don't know, say Outback, which I think is, if off the top of my head, I believe is one of the more realistic portraits. So if you put him right next to Outback, it might be a little weird. But if you've got, a bunch of figures together, it does vary across the line. So he's got some overlay pieces that fit okay. The web gear is all right. Although it does prevent he's got that Maggie Simpson effect where he can't put his arms all the way down. So let's do a little side by side here. So there's our original Short-Fuze. Got the look of the boots. I'm good with that. The web gear is the big thing. And of course, the portrait, it was so basic at the time. What are you going to do? Oh, no, wait a minute. So that's interesting. I didn't remember Short-Fuze having silver. Has he got hawk arms? Oh, I'm going to have to go look this up. I don't think those are his arms. I could be wrong, though. I'm going to verify. Okay, yeah, these are the correct arms. I didn't remember him having the silver arm pockets. So anyway, color aside, this is a reasonable Short-Fuze update for classified. The added brown of the belt, I'm good with that. It's got the helmet with the visor. I'm not a fan of these modern tactical helmets at all. I wish they wouldn't use these, especially on the classic guys. I wish this had just been the standard. I think Zap comes with a basic helmet, and I wish it was that. Again, just personal taste. I know a lot of people love this look. But he does have the visor, which is awesome because the visor Joes were all cooler back in the day. So I dig that. I don't mind the addition of the mic either. That's cool. And then he's got this frame, which, ooh, look at that. Huh. So he's got this backpack frame. Plug that in, and oh, look at that. So it's in nice and snug, and it's contoured to his back, so it doesn't look all goony. Nice work on that. And then the mortar, which is a little more complex. Oh, cool. Look at this. Oh, it's got an angle. So it's got a base plate that's at an angle. Oh, it's actually on a... Wow. So the peg is a ball joint. How cool is that? And look at that sculpted detail in there. This is very cool. So that plugs into the bottom once you're setting it up for launch. You've got all kinds of little aiming equipment and whatever on there. Oh, look at that. How great is that? That actually swivels or pivots, whichever you prefer. Get the bipod there with the little posts in the bottom. However, you can't quite, well, no, because this would be more of a backstop. Like this wouldn't be sitting flush with the ground, right? Because it would be to keep it from moving backwards with the launch. So that would sit about like that. Oh, that's cool. And then you've got the shell that is kind of surprisingly undecorated, I'll say. And I'm wondering, do we have a little port? Look at that. That's cool. That's very cool. So you can kind of fake it out in there a little bit to look like it's actually launching. Oh, nice. Okay, so this stops. So there you go. You've got the shell protruding just a bit, but then you put the blast effect on it. And it sits so it does look like it's launching. That's very cool. That makes me like the blast effects a little bit more for this one. Okay. So then we set this back up for storage. I wouldn't have minded a couple more shells for this. I'm just going to put that on like that. I don't know. And I guess that folds down to hold that. I don't know that I've got that on correctly because there are two tabs over here that seem like they should be for something. And I guess the shell is just stored. We've got like a Boba Fett situation going on here. But I do really like the storage for the mortar. Because obviously the original figure didn't have that. He had to just carry it around. I think that piece needs to go on the outside. I'll play around with that a little bit more because I'm feeling like these tabs must serve some purpose. Oh, you know what? Can we store a shovel? So we've got a tactical shovel, always popular here on Audible Interlude. And that tactical shovel is going to store right there, right? I think. Surely. Oh, what a missed opportunity. This has to be a case of this just not wanting to peg in. Like, that has to be designed to go there. All right, it takes a little bit of force, but fortunately that shovel is a little softer plastic. So yeah, that can store there. Neither knife is going to really do anything. So we'll just pop that on there. I'm not sure which knife goes to who. Oh, well, that's clearly... Oh, it doesn't matter. They're both straight. So either one of these can go in either place. I guess I'm going to give this one to Short-Fuze. And I may be taking that sheath off anyway because I don't care for the way it fits. And the original figure does not have a boot knife. All right, well, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and you know what I forgot? Short-Fuze also has, and this is another Sunbow touch, actually might be a Marvel touch, now that I'm thinking. Yeah, I believe this was Marvel Comics where Short-Fuze had the glasses. They look great. They're nice, rigid. These are the rigid, but not brittle plastic, so they stay on. And this is an instance where I think it could be argued they should be removable. Ooh, now can we do glasses and helmet? I don't know if that's going to happen. It can be argued in this instance because I have pretty much been converted to the glasses should be just molded on to most of these figures. Yeah, I'm not even going to try that. It does not seem that glasses and helmet are going to work. And they should, right? You can probably make it happen, but I just don't care enough to try. So there you go. We'll just set him to the side. And then he's got, well, whoever you decide this is assigned to. The strap is, it's nice that it's painted, but it's also kind of frustratingly short. Like, how is that going to work? Not super well. And then Steeler got the all black boots with a kind of different, unique design, which I appreciate. The pouches on his legs, they've actually given some functionality. It's got a shoulder rig. And got a really nice portrait. Not quite the same blonde, like he's a little dirtier blonde, almost light brown. I feel like he should be blonde. Well, could be blonde. Who's to say should? Interesting that this rig is all one piece. I think this is a completely new piece. And I like it. It's cool. It's got some nice elbow pads going on there. Oh, and the plastic and everything on these feels this. We're still in a good age of plastic being solid. All the joints move nicely, so everything's good there. So this design will help keep everything in place. I like that, because if this shoulder rig was separate, it would slide around all over the place. So solid portrait, has a lot of character, looks good. I like that he's got the single colored coveralls. I think that's appropriate, but I do wish they were the lighter green. But also, you know, realistically, no, it doesn't matter. He has his helmet, which when I was a kid was absolutely a laser shooting device similar to Cyclops from the X-Men. And this is before I even knew who Cyclops or the X-Men were. But in my world, his helmet shot lasers. And that is translucent. It's smoked. It's tinted, but that is translucent plastic in the visor. It's definitely a streamlined version of the original, which scale-wise sticks out further, has a little more detail, it's a different design. But looks cool. Oh, I didn't give Short-Fuze. I don't know if it matters who gets what. So we've got this, which is probably my least favorite firearm from Classified. I don't care for it. But we'll put that. Oh no, that's a little small. So we'll give this one with the wrapped handle that I know we've seen before, but I can't think of with who. That's a little loose in there, but it fits better than the other one. But the smaller one is probably meant for his shoulder rig anyway. Oh, interesting. So the holster is a separate piece that's plugged into the chest piece here. So that'll go in there, and hopefully that will plug in securely. Always a problem with the softer plastic. Or often, not always, often. And it plugs right in. I don't like that extended magazine. I'm not a fan of this piece. And then we've got suppressor, and very similar to the original. Kind of giant, though. And I'm not sure it's reasonable he's carrying that in a drop holster, but whatever. Then the suppressor fits in right over here. And our knife. Right there. He's got a lot of kit hanging on his legs. I don't know. Maybe they felt they needed to class him up a little, or add a little more to him. Class him up's not the right term. Since he's not coming with a tank, which is my one lament about getting this figure, is I very, very strongly feel that before all is said and done, we need a tank for the Joes and Classified. As much as I'm opposed to large vehicles, that is a piece of the Classified line that I feel needs to happen. You have to have a tank. So it is a little disheartening to get a Steeler figure with no sign of any kind of tank. And I'm not going to get into the whole which tank they should make conversation, because it's too much for here. I don't care for this wrapped. This seems too specific. I don't like this as a generic. Like, I wish they'd just given him Sunbow rifles. Like, I would have preferred that. Just the generic Sunbow for him. So I don't think I'm probably going to give this to Steeler. But anyway, yeah, I want a tank. Well, we've talked about it tons and tons on Audible Interludes. So if you want to hear more about how we think tanks should happen in Classified, check out Audible Interlude. And that finger's not quite going in that trigger guard. Well, tune in, check out the thumbnail and see if I ever got that figured out. I'm sure it will eventually fit in there. So there you go. Short-Fuze and Steeler. I've got a couple of little question marks, I would say, but thrilled to have them. I think they look cool. I'm happy to be able to put them on the shelf. And we're, again, that much closer to getting those 1982s finished. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And until next time, yo, Joe.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.